What? Another Persona 5 game? That's not Strikers, or Tactica, or even another remake of its original game? Persona 5 Phantom X is a gacha game? Oh no. I can't wait to spend time with Kawakami's Nightmaid service, but this time I have to spend real money for her. Is that even legal? And not only that, I gotta spend real money for a chance to get some of these iconic characters, everything but not limited to Joker, Ryuji, Morgana, and On? I can just get them all for a sweet, sweet small price of whatever Steam sale is going on right now. Ah, $20. So what exactly does this knockoff Chinese, I love China for legal reasons, gacha game do that deserves my time and money? You'd be surprised as I am. I'll try to skim through the basic Persona language since I'm going to assume you've played Persona, but I will still go through things that make Persona Persona because I think the main question people have is that, is this still really a Persona game? Currently, I am fully caught up in the story after finishing the second palace. From the looks of it, it sounds like we're going to have maybe 7 palaces in total, but I can see that number changing depending on the overall public feedback on the game as it approaches to that number. Just like in Persona 5, the tutorial can be a bit long. There are a lot of systems and just Persona things that need to be introduced, especially for a free mobile game. You are going to have a lot of players that have potentially never played a Persona game or even an RPG at all. They do skim through concepts pretty fast, such as like the metaverse, the concept of palaces, Velvet Room, and all that. They kind of just assume you know most of these concepts, and they do a decent job to just give you the bare bones of understanding them. But honestly, this is a mobile game, who cares? I think it's a good call. If you want to know more about like the lore, systems, and rules of whatever, you might as well just play Persona 5 Royal. 5X is more focused on the characters and the characters' interactions with each other. And for a game that's monetization is focused around characters like other gacha games, it's a good call. And the characters introduced in the game so far are pretty good. Motoha is like a child of Ryuji and On, very passionate and can have a wild but justified side. Tomiko being that nice and kind friend, and Lufel just being that dumb owl, just like that dumb cat Morgana. The first villain you come across is pretty plain and simple, which makes sense. You don't want to be fighting God on the first level, and this guy is a very popular guy on Twitter for just how ridiculous he is. There are parallels with him with Kamoshida, but there's just enough uniqueness in him personality-wise and palace aesthetic-wise that makes him just barely stand out apart from Kamoshida. It's really funny and kind of odd, at least for me at first, having already played through Persona 5 Royal and seeing all these like clear parallels with these initial characters. In fact, even though the second villain is clearly different than Madarame, I couldn't help find parallels with that arc too. I think in the Chinese version, they have done 4 palaces already, but I do hope that there aren't any clear parallels or nods to the original Persona 5 game, unless they directly reference them. But parallels? Not a fan of them. I guess the real question is, how much Persona is in this Persona spin-off, knockoff, cash grab, however you want to call it? Honestly, it's pretty close, and pretty good considering that this is a mobile live service game. Maybe my standards are low, but it exceeded my expectations. Sure, there are a few gacha systems and mechanics here and there, but overall, it looks like Persona 5, and almost plays like Persona 5. If you have played Persona 5 but never a gacha game, you might get confused with the abundance of like different level of materials, ascension materials, skill materials, and all that. But I think it's an easier concept to grasp compared to having that Persona knowledge and what to do with more Persona elements or whatever. So what Persona stuff is exactly in this Persona mobile game? The confidant system is sort of back in this game. In 5X, they call it synergy, and it essentially functions almost the same thing as the original game. You hang out with characters, pick the right choices, give them gifts, level up a relationship with them. Easy. And each level gives you basic material rewards, with some of them actually giving you traits, such as a chance of materials being refunded when crafting items, or a full team heal when ending a battle with an all-out attack. The reward track have been extended to 20 levels in total for each character, and it looks like they will be adding even more characters into this synergy in future updates. To no one's surprise, the Velvet Room is here as well. It's not a jail cell, unfortunately, but being underwater is still kinda cool. I will say, this is the most confusing part about the game, and I have played Persona and gacha games, and this had some experimenting to do. But to put it briefly, it sort of is the same and is kind of cool. You have to get persona tokens, combine them to make new personas, then attach them to your character. Wonder, the protagonist that you play as, is able to carry 3 different personas at a time. And here in the Velvet Room, you can make personas. You can use these persona tokens to put new skills into existing persona. For example, I have a Charmander persona, I get a Squirtle persona token somewhere. Of the 4 moves that Squirtle token has, let's say Water Gun and Tackle, it will randomly pick a move from that pool and insert that into your Charmander. Pretty simple, right? But then there's also overclocking, enhancing, different ranks, rarities, and all that. It's pretty tough to understand, but I assure you, it may function differently from the main Persona 5 game, but the outcome is pretty much still the same. Living your life as an honest student is also a bit different. Since this is a live service game, the in-game time is kind of infinite. So therefore, there is no calendar. There is no 22 days until the world ends, or really any sort of deadline. No time pressure or game overs in that sense, but there is still activities that you can do during the day and at night. You can still walk around Shibuya, Shinjuku, and even Yongen-jaya. Every activity that you do in Tokyo requires an activity point, so if you want to work at 7-Eleven, watch movies, or even hang out in Le Blanc Cafe, you are going to need an activity point to do those activities. You gain 5 points per IRL day, and it caps at 20 points. I don't think I really gone all the way down to 0 because there were just so many other things I wanted to do that didn't need activity points, but I can probably see myself having it completely depleted the longer I wait for the new patch. The metaverse is also a thing here, obviously, and this is where I spend a lot of my time. When you go into the metaverse tab, you can see here that you can explore mementos almost the same way in the original game. You just keep exploring the same looking walls, some elites to fight here and there, nothing too crazy. And also a decent amount of rewards to be gained here, surprisingly. You can also visit palaces from this tab too. You can even revisit completed palaces in case there were some still treasure chests you wanted to grab and all that. So don't be afraid of bomb rushing through the palace without grabbing your rewards. And honestly, it was a lot easier fully exploring the palaces after you beat it because a lot of the areas in the palaces are locked unless you made like a certain amount of progress in the main story. Then there are Realm of Repression. This is where you'll be grinding for all the materials like character XP, weapon XP, character ascension, weapon ascension, skill materials, persona XP, coins, persona tokens, relics, artifacts. It's a lot, and unfortunately that's typical in a gacha game. So if you happen to not like this, so do I, but I've just gotten used to it now. It all operates under a stamina bar that essentially fills up every day, and you can actually burn through it pretty fast and get a decent amount of materials. I've played other gacha games that are much worse than this, so I would say in terms of grinding, I think Persona 5X is actually more on the generous side. The Velvet Trials are kind of like endgame stuff, good source of rewards if you have a good team, emphasis on if, and it really rewards players who have a lot of on-level characters. Think of this like the Mirrors of Recollection from Star Rail. Metro of Desire is a roguelike feature that has a lot of rewards and is very replayable. It's basically like Simulated Universe from Star Rail. I wouldn't be surprised if they added more stuff to this in the future, but I have been enjoying the amount of stuff that has been available so far. And there is a global chat. It's basically like Clash of Clans global chat back in its golden days. It's not heavily censored, so it can get pretty crazy in there, so if that's your thing, there you go, and if not, well, you can ignore it. The combat is slightly different, it's a lot more simplistic as this is more targeted towards casual newcomers, as the nature of free-to-play mobile games. Each character has 3 skills along with an ultimate ability. Unlike other games, you charge up a universal meter and can pick one character's ultimate, then it resets. Each character's set of skills geared towards a particular playstyle. We'll take Morgana for example. Morgana is essentially your healer. He has a single target wind and a single target physical attack, and has an AoE heal. Simple enough, right? I think you can get away with just knowing that for basic story content, but if you're trying to min-max or getting into the harder content, you're going to have to know how his passive works. Every time he uses a different skill, he gains a chivalry stack. It can stack up to 3 times, and when an ally is 70% HP or lower when they move, Morgana will use up 1 stack and do a follow-up AoE heal. Very useful, especially with the fact that Morgana's heals can crit. So unironically, you want Morgana's crit rate, as a healer, to be very high. So then when I go get revelation cards from Morgana, I want to go get the set bonus that increases healing output along with the crit rate and attack. Since healing for Morgana scales off attack, it gets pretty in-depth in that sort of way that makes it very fun to min-max. And every character is like this, whether it's a character from the main game like Joker and On, or even the newer ones like Matoha and Yao Ling. The enemies are a lot more simple, I would say, compared to the base game, but I mean, it's only been 2 palaces, so they could easily get more complicated. But I mean, the main change I would say is that they display all the strength and weaknesses of these shadows right off the bat. There's no testing phase of throwing every single element at the enemy and finding its weakness, which, for a newcomer-friendly, free-to-play mobile game, I think it's a good change. It can get very complicated for new players, especially when they have to worry about 10 different other systems and mechanics of the game. I think it's a good way to ease them into the whole routine. That being said, all the other stuff like persona swapping, one more mechanic, and the all-out attacks are still present in the fights. The one more mechanic, or baton pass, I forgot the actual term, is really just you pick a character and it auto-attacks a basic single target of their own element. Which at first I was kind of bummed out, but I think it would be pretty broken if you could do a one more into an AoE attack and instant all-out attack, so that's probably a good change for this title. The palaces in this game are huge, probably bigger than the ones in the main game. Lots of puzzles, lots of rewards, lots of rooms to explore. In terms of presentation and just stuff in the palace, I liked it a lot. The story for each arc has been good so far, but the storytelling can get a bit boring. Lots of stop and goes, especially when going through like the main mission path. You're really just following the mission marker. I kinda wish that they just let us loose in the palace and not have the mission marker literally just do the puzzle for you, but maybe they thought there are a lot of dumb people playing this game. Thankfully, when doing the puzzles that are not part of the main mission, those ones don't have mission markers and whatnot. I do hate the fact there are a lot of level checks in the main mission. The game will not let you progress in certain parts of the quest if Wonder, the protagonist, does not meet the level requirement, and it's pretty annoying since the main and best way to level up is to do daily quests. So you can kind of think of it like a time game. Pay to progress since you can buy stamina potions. Yeah, it's pretty frustrating when you're in the flow of the palace and I'm booted out because I didn't meet some arbitrary level requirement. I'd rather get skill checked in combat rather than a numerical stat check, but maybe that's like a hardcore gamer mentality, not a casual mobile gamer mentality. But it was very frustrating for me when I hit those checks. The goal for Persona 5 Phantom X is to capture a larger audience and to guide them deeper into the Persona world. And Persona can be very confusing for new players with all of its different systems and mechanics, whether it's from Dungeon Crawler half to its Life Sim half, even with all these perceived negative labels: free-to-play, live service, gacha game. I think Persona 5 Phantom X is a pretty good game. My main worry is that it would have pulled all the Persona things that make it Persona, but thankfully, it still feels like a Persona game. It still has the Velvet Room, characters, style, music, flair, exploration, story, palaces, all of that into a decent, newbie-friendly experience. And for those that have played a Persona game, well, it's just more Persona. Whether you want to get invested into the endgame grind is up to you, but I think the characters are really what shine in this game. And to think that there is almost a guaranteed year-long content just since this Chinese version is like on version 4.0 or something is really cool to look forward to. With many of the characters in the franchise like Makoto, Kasumi, and even Yukari still come with brand new faces as well, I can't wait to see how this game evolves through the year. That'll do it for me for today. Make sure to like and subscribe as my goal is to get to 500 subs by the end of the month. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day and I appreciate you guys for watching.